a look at the shot wheel. Confirm HT doing the intro. Okay, copy. Count me in, mate. Well, folks, welcome back to Safari Live. We've just got a couple of beautiful buffalo coming right in front of us here. My name's Hayden Turner, also known as HT, and welcome to Safari Live. We're broadcasting live from Djuma and Arathusa Game Reserves here in Sabi Sands in South Africa, and this is coming to you live from the African bush. We've got a couple of bachelor males here, buffalo that have formed a bachelor group. They're sort of served their, or just a little bit out of their prime, and they will come into a bachelor group like this and potentially spend a lot of that time together. They might stay in this group for who knows, 6 months to a year, who knows, but then they start to form into other groups. It's a very, very loose-knit sort of bachelor situation. They might be also associating with sub-adult males. At the moment, these are 4 old bulls we've got here, and they're very, very calm. One of the things about these reserves that we're on is the animals are incredibly habituated or familiar with the vehicle, so they're not afraid of us, they're not scared, they're behaving perfectly normally, just grazing through this area. Now, this area here has been burnt in the last few weeks, and there's a fresh flush of grass that's come through, which is absolutely fantastic nutrition for these animals. You can see this beautiful boy here, great male. He's just rubbing some mud off his horns there. A lot of the males do this display on these shrubs, and they'll rub their faces and their horns through. They've just come from a water point down here, a water hole, where they've been cooling down, and I watched them walk up here, and they've just been lying in the water. It is pretty hot here today, and I think that I would be lying in the water too if it was an opportunity. They're definitely on the move now, probably to a cooler area. We're just going to stick with them for a little bit and see where they go. They can get up to herds of potentially 30 sub-adult males and bulls past their prime. But a lot of people think that their reputation precedes them. A lot of people think that buffaloes are really aggressive, and towards predators, or humans particularly, they normally find us a threat. But within their own social setup, or their own social system, they're actually very, very caring, and it's a very intricate social structure. They can form into herds, of up to 300-400 sometimes, but that will depend on the available food source. So the food here is quite good. I've seen over the last few days a couple of big herds, not 200 and 300s, but 30, 40, 50 animals. But sometimes you'll come across just these bachelor herds, and these males will probably stay like that for quite some time. In the main herd, they're one of the only non-territorial hoofed animals or herbivores we have here, and they coexist with great consideration for each other. They sort of form small clans which will congregate in larger herds, and then they'll split off, and it's a pretty transient situation, but it'll be a breeding herd of related females and their offspring. They normally stay together, and they'll have a dominant bull looking over them. They'll start to mate at the end of the rains, and the calves are born a little bit earlier in the rainy season. We're just about to go into the rainy season, so if we scratch around, and when I say scratch around, I just mean sort of drive around and feel our way around the bush. And being on safari is all about that. It's about driving the vehicle around, gently looking. Sometimes we see loads, other times we don't. And that's all the joy about what's around the next corner. So what we might do is just cruise down. I think we saw a little bit of some tracks and signs down there of another herd, but we'll talk along the way and see what we can find. But thanks for coming and great to have you on board. Just reversing here, just watch your head.
Well, good afternoon everyone, and a very warm welcome here on a beautiful afternoon in South Africa at Sabi Sands Game Reserve. And yep, thank you, Will. As I said, a very warm welcome and a big welcome here at Djuma Game Reserve in Sabi Sands. Fantastic opening up with some buffalo. Hayden headed out a little bit earlier already, further to the sort of southeastern area. I'm just going to stop here quickly and say a proper hello to you. We had a very interesting day so far in terms of the weather. We started with rain this morning, then it sort of cleared a little bit, looked like rain again towards midday, cleared and got hot, and now I think we're just in for a beautiful afternoon. So it's going to be fantastic to have you with us here in Africa, and as always it's my pleasure to welcome you on the afternoon safari. Behind the camera is Brian, in control room Will and Graham and everyone else that's helping there as well. Thanks guys for a productive day and everything we got done. And of course to all of you visiting and viewing and sharing with us from all over the world, especially one of you, maybe two of you or three of you that's sitting in Washington and sharing this with us as well. I don't want to get ahead of myself. In fact, before I do, let's look at this little guy. This is one of my favorites, and he actually flew over to us. So since he's making the effort to look at us, I think we should look at him. This is one of my, if not maybe my favorite bird. It's called a fork-tailed drongo. Those of you that joined us this morning, you would remember we spoke about it a bit with the mongoose and the hornbill. And the reason this drongo flew over to us is as we drove through this area, which is in his territory, he saw an opportunity. Because we're driving around, we might be disturbing some insects, and those is what he's looking for. So if we're driving, the insect flies up, he's got the opportunity to catch it. So he's just making use of our presence. Fantastic little birds. Very often you can use them to find even things like leopard. They make a big fuss when they see things around that they don't like. Right, just to get back to this afternoon's plan, as I said, I don't want to get ahead of myself too quickly, but this morning we found two male lions that we don't typically see in this area. They're more from the north. They're nomadic still. They're not dominant or territorial yet. And they were also quite sort of towards the edge of our sort of test area at the moment, where we busy sort of stretching our legs and seeing where we can get to in terms of the broadcast of this, and we're going to go look there. We've made a few tweaks and I'm sure we can get there this afternoon, but as I said, don't want to promise, but a good chance of lions, maybe a chance of leopard later on. We had some tracks this morning very, very close to the control room to Voitela Lodge, so we're going to look for those later on, and otherwise just have a nice afternoon. It's as always a pleasure to have you with us, and let's go look around. Quite a day of changes. As I said, the weather has sort of been rain to cloud to sun, back to cloud, back to sun, and now it's nice and warm. You can hear the cicadas. Those of you that are listening to all the background sounds of Africa, that sort of buzzing sound, those are cicadas. The francolin calling there just now sounded like a crested francolin. Don't expect animals to be too active yet. It was a nice cool morning, so they could be very active sort of leading into the day, longer than they might have otherwise. And then the afternoon is heated up. A lot of animals might just take it a little bit easy, and then as it cools down, what's the time now? 4 o'clock African time, it's about 10 o'clock Eastern East Coast time. But as it starts cooling down later in the afternoon, we can expect more activity, and of course getting towards sunset, the crepuscular time, there's a very good chance that we find some cats. I'm going to try some lions. I know HT is going to look around for some leopard. The rest of it, keep the ground, and tattoos that you know of. Okay, did you book out that breakaway Mshlambi in Gonyam this morning? Okay, thanks, bro. Alright, that was just Andrew, who's actually been a friend of mine for almost 10 years now. He started as a tracker, he's now guiding in this area as well. And he's working much further to the east of us. Let's check with the guys in the west as well in a few minutes' time. Very important to realize that one of the key features, one of the key reasons why this is one of the, if not perhaps the prime wildlife destination in the world, sorry, in my opinion, I'm a little bit biased, but the Sabi Sands just offers such phenomenal big game viewing, especially. And the big reason for that is the habitat, obviously. It's the kind of habitat that is just perfectly suited both to lions and leopard, and cheetah to some extent, but not in this area so much. We're a little bit lush here. But in terms of habitat, in terms of prey species, in terms of food, resources, water, everything, those things play a massive role. But as important for the experience we're going to have is that these animals have been exposed to ecotourism, to photographic or sort of enjoyment safaris, if you want, for a long time. This was one of the first areas in the world to start looking at this as a way of utilizing wildlife and utilizing wildlife areas. So it's for many generations now. We've got leopards here, Karula, which is one of our favorite leopards. We've known her mother very, very well since she was young, Safari, and then we knew her cubs, Karula being one of them. We've known 4 generations of Karula's cubs now, every single one of them. By name, often as young as 2 or 3 weeks when we see them the first time. And they grow up with vehicles being a part of their environment, the same as any of these trees, the same as elephants, the same as all the natural things around them. There's nothing strange about vehicles for them. It's part of their environment. So you get to see them and experience them in a not a unique way, but it's unique to experience animals that habituated. Meaning that here, the leopards could be right there, they're doing what they would have done if you weren't even there. If it's a mother and cubs, they might be playing. It's a big male busy patrolling his area. You'll see hunting, everything that's going on. And that is something that that is amazing. To see the behavior, to really experience these animals' lives is something that I've done for years now, and I can't get enough of it. It's a privilege and a pleasure for me every time. So that's what we're going for. Find these animals, and not only see them, but experience them, share space with them. The same as pretty much what you're doing with us. It's coming out with us and not just looking at it, sharing the experience with us. So yes, looking forward to doing that for the rest of the afternoon with you. Hello Linda, we've got a question from Chicago. I mentioned the other day, Chicago is one of my favorite cities in the States. I've been fortunate enough to spend quite a bit of time in America traveling all over, and Chicago at Christmas time is something I love to remember. Just as you might remember Africa, Linda. Karula, female mention, which means peaceful. She's an absolutely stunning cat. Linda was just wondering how old she is. She's about 10 years old now. I forgot exactly. They actually know very close to the date that she was born. I forgot that now off the top of my head. But personally, I've got some very, very special memories with Karula. Some years ago, when I was when I came back, we experienced her raising a first litter of cubs as well as a second litter. The first litter with 2 females. I call Shadow and Tandi. Sorry, I still think of them, the names that we used back then, Saseka and Tizana. And they've both had cubs of their own now. In fact, this morning only they saw Shadow not too far from her Chuza Lodge. They lost her into a thick area, but her and a cub were moving along. And the other sisters around as well. The 2 male cubs, her second litter, which was Induna and Misho. Beautiful males. Had such amazing times with those leopards. We saw them almost from, not birth, but from when we start seeing them normally around 6 weeks. And we spent the next 2 years with them growing up until they became independent. We don't see them now anymore. Male leopard disperse once they reach maturity, 2 years, 2.5 years old. The third litter I didn't know at all. I wasn't here at the time. And the fourth litter we saw yesterday. The quarantine male and Kayuma. So Tarula is a cat that both personally, and I know for many of you as well, and for all the people in this area, has provided us with many, many special moments over the years. And hopefully we'll see her as well in the next days and weeks to come. We're on one of the main roads, if you want. Let this vehicle pass. As I was saying, we're on one of the main roads, if you want. So this would be the like an interstate for this area. Normally the roads are quite small, which is why we might see 1 or 2 vehicles more than usual, just going from sort of the artery going into the lodge. So I just had Alex there, just had a question there from Jane, and Jane, sorry, I didn't quite catch it. I'm sure I'll get it again just now. Thank you very much, Jane. The question there, what variety of snakes are on Juma? Now, I'm going to make that a little bit of a broader answer because there's a lot of variety of snakes. That's the short answer. A wide variety of snakes in Juma. This area, the Lowveld, which is, we are part of the Greater Kruger National Park. So in South Africa, you've got the escarpment, the Drakensberg Mountains, which runs a very, very long part of the South African contour almost, of the southern part of Africa. That's the Highveld, above that Johannesburg and so on. And then you come down into the Lowveld, which then goes down through to the ocean. And in this area we're part of the Kruger National Park, so Sabi Sands Game Reserve, which is a private park, but ecologically it's all open, one big area with Kruger. So we're looking at about 2.5 million plus hectares, which is roughly about 6 million acres. But it's a perfect prime African habitat in the sense of what you think of when you think of Africa. In other words, lions, elephants, antelope, lots of life. So hundreds of species of birds and many, many species of mammals and reptiles and everything. And snakes wise, lots of species. I'm going to get through this little dip. Little drainage line system. So Jane, the snake species, a variety of snakes, very, very small snakes, the little burrowing snakes and stilettos and yellow-bellied sand snakes, things like that, up to the bigger snakes, which can be in terms of the dangerous varieties, things like black mamba, which many of you know of, especially those that saw some of the kill bills. And of course the pythons, we get the African rock pythons, they can get massive. I've seen ones here eat a young waterbuck. A waterbuck is a deer in the same size as not quite moose, I think about the same size as your elk, for those of you from North America. Impala, they can eat adult impala, they get massive, 5-6 meters, that's about 5 or 6 yards long. And then a variety of other venomous snakes, and of course things like puff adder, which is a bit like rattlesnakes, similar, but many, many different snakes. Worm slung, live in trees. Spotted bush snakes we often see around camp. They sort of almost like monkeys, they can become a little bit used to camp sometimes. Yeah, a wide variety of all kinds of animals, big and small. It's really truly a wildlife paradise in this part of the world. Let's see if I can follow some of the guys in the west. Good afternoon, stations. Peter from WildEarth. Any stations in the west Arethusa area coming, please? Good afternoon, how's it going? Tristan and Liam, thank you very much. Yeah, I was actually the last mobile with those two my daughters this morning. From where they were last seen, sort of where the tracks are, they moved along the Skovanin, sort of, what is that, sort of southwest, for about 60, 70 meters, and then they settled down, but they looked like they might move further into that thick stuff when I left. Okay, thank you. No more news of Shadow. That was that sort of hilly area. Okay, copy, thanks. Well, I'll let you in on the sort of the inside information a little bit. I was just talking to Liam there, he's one of the guides in the area. Him and Cedric, we met both of them yesterday. We had a meeting with all the guides just to meet some of them, as if we don't know yet. And they're following up on those two male lines. As I said, this morning we saw two males, young nomadic males. They're from the Manileti area north of here. But they were moving to very, very thick stuff. And there's guys tracking them at the moment. So I'm not going to go in there as well. There's already two people, two guides and trackers looking for them. If they find them, we'll get the update and maybe try and get there later. We're going to look around and see if we don't maybe just find something just while sort of looking around. Alright, well, while we're looking around, you're going to join Hayden a little bit, see what he's up to. I'll probably bump into him later as well. So enjoy it over there. I'm sure you'll have a lovely time, and I'll see you back here on our vehicle again a bit later.
I've just been coming along this little dry riverbed down here. It's always a good place to look in the hot part of the day. Well, it's cooling down now, but it's 25 degrees or 77 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's still quite hot for the predators, but as the afternoon temperature drops, they'll start to become a little bit more active. And I have a bit of a passion for leopards, so I'm always on the lookout for them, but everything else as well. And Liam is on the camera here with me, and he's another set of eyes, which is fantastic. We're both here, and you are as well. If we see something, and as many of you that have been with watching WildEarth for many years, and for all you regulars that have come back and gotten into the vehicle with us, welcome back. Sorry, I just saw something dash out of the corner of my eye then. We'll just get a little look at this. No, he's gone. We might be able to get a little look. Nope. It was a little antelope called a duiker. We'll see them again, but he's shot off back that way. Small antelope. They're very, very fast, dashes through the bush. It's an Afrikaans word, duiker, that means diver, and that's exactly what he does. He sort of stops for a second, looks at you, and then he runs and hides in the scrub or in the vegetation. So back to that, welcome back to all you regular viewers, and for the new people on safari with us, welcome to you too. It's great to have you on board. And if you've never been on a safari drive before, what we do is we drive around the reserve and we traverse the areas, and at particular times of the day we know where animals will probably be congregating more than others. You can never guarantee it. You can never guarantee anything. But the thing is, it's so exciting to think what's around the next corner. And you can drive for 10, 15, 20 minutes, sometimes half an hour, and not see much. But we are still seeing loads of African flora and fauna. They might be smaller things. We might be talking about the vegetation. We might be talking about loads of different ways that the habitat works and everything fits together in this beautiful picture. But this is unscripted. This is coming to you live. So whatever happens, you see it as I see it. We're just creeping up to the top of this hill here, and we'll take a road off to the right soon and see if we can go back down along that little creek bed. There's a lot of predators, but particularly the leopard. They love to use those riverbeds to just walk their way through and then peek their head up onto the higher ground, and they might come upon might come upon a prey animal. I've got some beautiful herd of impala up here. Now I think you've just seen some impala with Pete, but we'll just go and have a bit of a look because it's a nice size herd. And we've got them just up here on the right. Now, I'll go up nice and slow. One of the really important things when you're watching wildlife is that we will come up quite close to them, and a few of them might move away. There's also a small warthog just here on the right. If you can see, he's just looking at us. We'll talk about both species. Look, he'll run. He'll run, and he's set the impala off actually. He's a little bit more skittish because he's by himself, and he's run to probably a burrow or maybe to just a bit of cover. He'll be able to see us, but we probably won't be able to see him. So if we see some more warthog, we'll talk about them in a minute. But this is a lovely herd of impala, and all these females here, the other ones without horns, and you'll see there's a ram in the middle, and he's just the one at the back. He's going to probably run last. He's got the horns. He's just gone across now. We'll come up to them. They'll probably stay there under the shade. To me, they are the absolute epitome of perfection when it comes to an antelope. They're streamlined. They're fantastic jumpers and leapers. They can get out of very, very serious situations from predators by leaping these extreme distances and jumping very, very high, up to 10 feet in the air, or about 3 meters. We'll just stop here for a second. Really nice little herd. And I just think they're so elegant. They're beautiful creatures. And they'll stay together, they'll walk through. They can adapt to pretty much any environment as long as they've got available food source. And they'll walk through woodlands, they'll be on open grassland, and they'll hang out in these herds. They'll be dominated by one ram, and he spends a fair bit of energy, I have to say, protecting this harem, or this herd, and he will protect them fiercely in what's called the rutting season, where the males will fight fiercely. Just move up a little bit here. There we go. Beautiful. We just had a question from Pamela in the UK, and she's just asked whether the ewes or the female impala can delay their birth. She's heard that they can. Well, Pamela, you're exactly right. They can delay their birth for up to 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the rains. And this is a modification or an adaptation that they have, very, very clever adaptation, that they can drop their lambs at the perfect time when there is available food source for the mothers to get nutrition to be able to feed them with their milk. But it's a great question, and you've heard correctly. They can delay their birthing or their lambing for about 1 to 2 weeks. I just think they're a beautiful antelope, and I think on safari we have a tendency to drive past them a lot. I have a tendency to stop at them a lot because I just think they're so beautiful, and they fit into a fantastic food chain, and it's very, very important. They do supply a lot of the predators with food. They are really an important antelope in the African bush. Now, if you do want to send us any questions, you are more than welcome, and we'd love to hear from you. If you send it questions@wildearth.tv, or you can tweet us at #SafariLive, and we'll try and answer as many of your questions as we possibly can. And we'd love to hear from you. I think that's one of the fantastic things about this, is that this is so interactive. And I've been working for National Geographic for some time, and I've done some incredible things for them, and this has to be right up there with one of the most fantastic things I've ever done. To to be broadcasting live from the African bush. My heart rate rises as soon as I get in the vehicle, as soon as I turn the key. I just don't know what we're going to see, and for you to be here with us, it's the most fantastic thing. We're just going to head down here a little bit. We might cut back down. And the interesting thing about this as well is there's no set plan to the drive. You know, I was going to go down along that little drive. Nice little there. It's got that really distinctive circle around the rump there, and waterbuck, as the name says, won't be far from water. They definitely need to be around that area. He's a solitary bull at the moment, and he will be up competing against another male for looking after a herd and covering what we call covering a small herd of females. But the only hoofed animal in Africa that's born with horns is the giraffe. And the giraffe are born with horns. Well, I tell a lie. The giraffids, and that's the cousin of the giraffe, the okapi and the giraffe. So the okapi is a relative of the giraffe that lives in Central Africa. We don't get them down here in Southern Africa. But the giraffe and the okapi, the only two horns. I'm trying to find some giraffe. Look at that, so the ram at the back. And they're just cooling down as well. They'll probably make their way to a water point down here soon. And we'll just see what else we can go and see. But they're very pretty. Very, very comfortable.
We are actually in the area that was seen this morning with one of her cubs, or one cub. But I eventually lost into this really thick area. I mean, hard. There's a kill that she wants to take the cub to. It's not a bad idea to do it a little bit earlier in the afternoon, when most other potential threats, things like hyenas or other big leopards, might still be sleeping and taking it easy. So I was just hoping with a little bit of luck, maybe we bump into on the road or see a track. Could still happen, we're still in the right area. Listen a little bit. Just in that tree that you can see, that sort of leafless tree at the moment, there's a few birds calling. But I thought I heard a squirrel as well, but it's not a squirrel, just different bird calls. Squirrels are one of our sentries out there, and one of our big helps when it comes to finding leopards. Squirrels don't like leopards, you can imagine, mainly because leopards like squirrels. So they make a big fuss when they see leopards walking around, and they one of the helpers for us to find them. Look at the moon there. Nice view. Going to try and make it a nice view of the dead tree in the front. We're not quite full moon yet, but it is getting. That's nice. Look at that. Go a little bit long. Wait. There, I like that. Not quite full moon yet, but getting closer to it. Just out of interest, and I'm sure many of you know this, but full moon always rises at sunset. So if the moon is up before sunset, it's not full moon yet. Or if it's a very full moon but it's only up after sunset, it's also not full moon yet. In other words, your waxing moon, the one that's getting bigger, like this one at the moment, that is it's before full moon, it's getting bigger or waxing towards full. At full moon, because at full moon obviously you've got the sun on the one side, we're sitting here as the earth, the moon sitting up here. So to be a full moon, you've got the full face of the moon being lit up by the sun. So they're almost 180 degrees on a straight line. I mean, that's a very relative term, of course, but on the opposite side from us relative to the sun for full moon. That's why you get it roughly at sunset, the full moon, and then as it wanes or becomes smaller again, then it rises later and later every night. So looking at that one, I think it's probably 2 nights or 3 nights away until full. A very nice time. Full moon in the bush is very special. Depending on who you talk to, they'll say yes, there's a change in animal behavior or not, but not really the case. I think it's a lot of opportunistic things. I mean, yes, there are changes. I mean, you get birds, for instance, making lots more noise than they would have if it wasn't full moon. Often you get doves calling somewhere in the middle of the night, and animals could maybe be a bit safer because they can see more, and I mean with that antelope and things like that. Beautiful dove call in the distance there, speaking of Cape turtle doves. Speaking of birds, Jack was just asking if we've seen any of the red-headed weaver birds yet. Well, I haven't. I've only been back a few days in the Low-Veld, which has been fantastic so far. Lots of things going on. But we'll be spending more and more time over the next while looking at birds. But the weaver birds, I mean, the birds are only really getting into their sort of summer activity now. I mean, spring is in the air, yes, and that was a while back, but it's only really in December, even January, when we've had quite a bit of rain and the bush is really nice and lush, that the animals are really in sort of full swing when it comes to breeding and nesting and all that activity. So then there's usually lots of activity from things like weaver birds build beautiful basket nests, or lots of bird calls as well, and all the impala babies are coming January. Well, by January lots of them are around. I was talking the other day to you, for those that have joined us for a few drives, about the first impala. It's a very long tradition, or long-standing tradition in Sabi Sands, that people that live here place fun bets. It's not a betting thing, but they pick the date when the first impala lamb will be seen, and normally around early December. I think I picked the 8th the other day, if I remember correctly. I remember that. I always think my wife's favourite number is 8. For some reason, I've got that stuck in my mind. She told me this somewhere along the line. She insists she never said 8 as a favourite number, but now I remember that number as a favourite number. So that's why I think the 8th. It's normally here in the first week, but I mean, sometimes it could be the last few days of November, or it could be a bit later. I'm willing to venture, or to bet even, that we will see the first impala lamb during Big Cat Week, which is a very exciting thing. We're building up to that now with these rehearsals. Keep in mind, you are testing with us at the moment. We are testing our gear and everything, and getting to know a lot with HT, and this is just a little bit of a personal thing. We're getting along like old friends already, and we're just exploring and learning and testing and getting to the areas that we don't know. But it's building up to the Big Cat Week, end of November, beginning December, which is going to be about cats around the world. But we're going to have you visit us every day here in Africa, focusing especially, although we always do that, on finding cats. I feel like thinking brain, you know. Brain, what are we doing today? Same as every day. And I think we're going to see the first impala lamb. It's one of the acacias, a knobthorn, massive termite mound underneath it. If I was a leopard, I'd just be sitting somewhere in there, just minding my own business, waiting for the afternoon to move towards evening.
Good hiding spot.
I wonder if Joanna's on drive with us this afternoon. Joanna's, we've always been very aware of bird calls. I can hear a black-headed oriole calling in the distance there. That's what they sound like. I love black-headed orioles. They like yellow. Something stretching on how far we can go.
have a look over here, we've got some beautiful Birchall zebra or plain zebra, and they just stopped to have a bit of a look at us. There's a few more that have just walked over here. These are incredibly social creatures. They rely off their senses, their sense of sight first and foremost, their sense of smell and their sense of sound, but they're incredibly close, tight-knit community, and like horses, like domestic horses, if you know them, their facial expressions play a huge part in their communication. Is body posture and the way they are towards each other. That is a beautiful creature. I mean, look at that design. Now, there's loads of theories about why the zebra has its stripes, but one of the theories is that when they are running en masse, it's very, very difficult for a predator to sort of see what's what, legs, body, head, etc., when there's a real flash of those stripes. But I also think in this sort of terrain, if you have a look through the bushes just over here on the left, it's quite difficult to see them just over there. A little bit further around, we can just see a few tail or rumps up there. Now, you can see it clearly when we zoom in. If we zoom out and we use our sort of normal field of vision, other than the tail flicking there, that's pretty hard to see. So I think the camouflage is also fantastic in woodland like this. They are grazers, so they're on this really fresh pick here, or this fresh flush of grass, and these two over here have just stood here for so long. It's fantastic. Normally I think they were on a mission. They walked across the road here. I was actually going the other direction. I just looked up the road and saw them crossing here. Beautiful creatures. A little bit of my background, I may have told some of you, but I used to work in a zoo years ago for the first 10 years of my animal career in the 90s, and I worked with zebra a lot. I transported zebras all over the place and cared for zebras, and it was a fantastic experience. I learnt a lot about them, and they are very, very charismatic creatures. They've all got personalities, and they really are communicative. To sit and watch a herd of zebra. Now, they do play a vital role in the ecosystem as well, and they definitely play a big part in this landscape, but they're just so striking to see. A lot of the other animals, particularly the hoofed animals or the herbivores that we see, they're variations of shades of browns and earthy colours. This is a striking horse, really. It's in that family, and it is just an absolutely amazing creature. Muscular, hugely muscular, and a stallion will look after the herd. He will cover the herd, and he will fight fiercely for dominance over that herd, and that can be quite difficult to watch at times. They drop to their knees and sometimes become quite aggressive, biting and kicking. But they're about to head off, so we might head off as well. I'm going to head back down to an area that, look, the temperature now is perfect. For me, I always get that feeling of just when the sun's coming off. There's a bit of cloud cover now. The temperature's definitely dropped below 25 degrees, what I gave you before. And I feel it's the time that the predators will probably start to be stirring. I like to think that in my head. I like to throw the luck out there and see what we can find. So let's head back down that way. I'll just do a turnaround, and we'll creep along a dry riverbed and see what we can find. You keep your eyes out, okay? These vehicles that we're in are some of the coolest vehicles I've ever driven in my life. This vehicle is decked out specifically for this, taking people on safari. We've got a load of gear on this to broadcast to you live, and it just feels like, I don't know, it feels like a big toy. It's beautiful. Now, I mentioned before about that burning and you might have asked yourself the question, why was it burnt? Well, sometimes the rangers on the reserves can use control burning as a management tool, because if the grass gets really, really long, it becomes very unpalatable for a lot of the species. And with a little bit of management of the reserves, we do always have to keep that in mind. They will do a controlled burn, and it brings back that new flush of grass. Now, sometimes it's not done by the rangers, and sometimes it's just natural, like a lightning strike or something like that, and then you will get a burn happen as well. Always looking from side to side. Animals have extraordinary camouflage, and you have to really take your time to look. You do get your eye in after a while, and I said it earlier, I think I said it this morning to you when you're on the drive, if you were with me. I will also stop and take my binoculars and look through and tell you it's a tree stump. Because off in the distance, tree stumps have an uncanny ability to look like the creature that your mind dreams it up to be, sorry. And we're right down in this little sort of what we call a drainage line, or it's more or less a dry riverbed, or a little area that water would flow down in the wet. So we refer to them as drainage lines. And here we go. We're going to come across one here that you'll get a really good look at. It's dry at the moment, but as soon as the rains come, the water will be flowing down here. And this is beautiful leopard country. Let's go nice and slow through here. You can see the sand, and this is where, sorry, I'll just stop there. This is where water would come flowing through in the big rains and flow right through here. We're about to go down into it, across into the deep sand, so you'll have to just bear with me. Hold on. Go down and have a look at this other water point down here and see if we can see anything. At this time of the afternoon, we might get a few different species coming down to drink. Here, working to bring you this live, and they're a great bunch of people, and they're delivering this platform. I just love it. I just love the excitement of this. We don't know what's around the next corner. You're with us on the vehicle. This is proper safari, and it's a great privilege to be here. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to head on down to this water point. I'll come back to you, and I'm going to hand over to Pete, see what he's up to, and I'll see you soon, okay? Bye.
Welcome back in the vehicle with us. We were just driving along, slowly making our way back towards sort of the Voitila area. We came across this very special view of a bird that you don't see that often, and it just called just before he joined us. I'm hoping it's going to do so again. They've got a very special call, and very lucky to see it this close, apart from such a lovely view as well, right on top of a termite mound. Anyone want to guess what bird this is? It's not a bird you see that often, and certainly not that often in such a beautiful manner as we're looking at it at the moment. Tell you what, I'll tell you its name once it's called again. Oh, having a nice stretch, a bit of Koran yoga. That's its surname. I just love that call. It's just, I don't know, it's one of the really funny bird calls for me, but beautiful to watch, and not funny haha, funny, well, funny haha too, but funny, entertaining. This is a black-bellied Koran, and that's his display call, and he's displaying at the moment, standing up there as well, and I'm sure you could hear that, but it's just sort of boink. I can mimic a lot of bird calls, but not this one. It's a little water drop at the end, but it's just such a visual call as well. You know, to watch it, I love that, and I'm sure we're going to see another one. So we're going to sit here a little bit while he scratches his head. Stunning bird, just beautiful aposematic coloration. That's what you call that, black and white markings. Another beautiful call. You know what this is? There's a lot of things I love about doing this. Driving around the bush and being in Africa and seeing these amazing things is certainly one of them. And I've said many times, and I will say many times more, that the most favorite way of doing this is what we're doing at the moment. Being live out here with people from around the world. He's going to call again just now. Millie, watch. You're going to see it happen. You're going to hear it. And I'm speaking to everyone, but Millie was just asking, and it's one of my favorite questions about this. How does she know this is live? Is it really live? She can't believe it. Millie, that's the third time this bird is called now since we've sat here. And the first time since she asked the question. And there he goes. Off goes the black-bellied Koran. We're going to move along. And I know that Millie now knows that is live. And for those of you that were wondering what's going on, where is this, what is this, maybe just live on safari here with WildEarth in Sabi Sands, South Africa. And we're looking around for whatever we can find. It is one of the prime wildlife destinations in the world. We're looking for leopard and lion, many other things, elephant and all the small things, black-bellied Korans. I could hear a beautiful black-headed oriole calling. You can just relax a little bit, talk a little bit. If you have some other questions, maybe you're wondering something about what we were just looking at, feel free to fire off another one. If anyone else has something to ask or something to mention, maybe you just want to say hello or let us know that you're enjoying this or not enjoying this. No, I don't really know how you can not enjoy this. This is one of the best things in the world to do, in my opinion. A bit biased maybe, yeah. I can hear lots of people going, mine too. Come on guys, let's annoy all of them in the control with emails. How many people of you think this is a great thing to do? How many people like being on safari in Africa live? Let us know via Twitter on #SafariLive or send it to questions@wildearth.tv. I would like thousands of mails and Will has to read all of them because he doesn't have much to do. You know? He's got tons to do. Maybe tomorrow morning, but I think tonight's the night. Sun's getting nice and low now, a bit windy, you're probably hearing it. But wind is nice, it cools you down a bit. Its stickiness of the hot afternoon is disappearing now. It's in fact cooling down nicely with the breeze. You should have a nice, beautiful sunset. see. Let's have a look that way a little bit. The sun might also disappear behind the clouds, but we've got some lovely cloud formations in that direction. We'll keep an eye on the sunset. It's always lovely to watch the sunset. Makes you long for places you've never been and think of people you've never met. You're standing in the bush, the sun is dipping away and the night is approaching, all the sounds are changing. It's a very, very magical time. Alright, well we have let's just leave it at a big surprise for you. I'm gonna go over to HT a little bit, say hello to him for me. Actually, if someone could just say I say hello to HT, I'm hoping he's having a lovely afternoon, enjoying it just as much as we are. That would be great, and enjoy it. We'll see what's over there.
Sometimes your luck is with you. I've just come down to this water point here just for a try. Before I left you, I just said, well, just try this water point, and sure enough, oh, I love this place. We've got elephants drinking. So I just wanted to go down nice and slowly. It's a breeding herd. Now, a breeding herd consists of adult females reigned by a matriarch, and she is the one that's in charge, and they're very, very tight knit. Adult females, younger females, and most of them are related, and this will be a spectacular, oh my goodness. Welcome to Safari Live, guys. The anticipation, excuse me, it's a bit of a steep drop down here. But my big toy truck here will get us there. Probably nothing, but I just want to see, just to cure my own curiosity. Ah yes, folks, it's a tree stump. You never know. You've got to check, you have to check, you have to stop and check. It was a tree stump. binoculars, one of the key parts of your safari. I've got the binoculars. If you want to borrow them, please feel free. You know what? I'm going to just drive along a little bit further here. I'll come back to you. Pete's found some more elephant, which is always worth going to. I'd rather you be watching elephant with Pete than me driving along the road. If I find anything, I'll come back to you. See you soon.
No, they seem to have joined a few others, so let me just see. This is not the same female from this morning. This is quite a big cow. Very big female. And this is the classic example of a female elephant in terms of the head shape. One of the things they say to recognize male and female is the shape of the head. She's a little bit in the bushes there now. But they've got a much squarer sort of head in front of the head. The females, the bulls, have got generally bigger heads and much more sort of rounded, much fuller head, much bigger skull. Also for the bulls, obviously they do quite a bit of head bashing and fighting later on, especially when they get sort of in their late 30s, 40s. Elephants do a lot of important work, if you want. It's not really work, but in the process of feeding and the niche they occupy, they can damage. It's not really the right word for me, and people always think of damage as something that is negative, but they break a lot of vegetation, and it's very important. Without elephants, areas like this would get so lush and so overgrown over time that it would get very difficult for other animals that might be needing to get into other types of habitats to utilize the area. So it's a very important role. What she's doing at the moment, she's eating the top leaves and branches of a knobthorn or an acacia tree. If you look here down, it's a little bit of other brush, and there's a guarri bush in front. And there she's eating, but if you look down towards the left, you see, so the tree is pushed over. There she's eating the leaves. Here's the trunk of the tree, and there she broke the tree. So she actually just pushed it over to get at the top of the leaves. Now that tree being pushed over, well, it's only half over, but eventually it'll be all the way over, creates a whole little new micro environment, if you want. There's a bit of what we call a donga or eroded area just below it. So when those branches get down to the ground, they'll help to catch and trap little bits of grass and leaves and things that wash down it, and help to recover that area. It'll provide new homes for little birds and mice and insects that might be wanting some shelter on the ground. It also provides new light, so other trees that were growing around it, or some of the grass below, will now get more light than before and be more successful again. So it is a very natural, normal aspect of nature, an important part of nature, that you have your big herbivores like this that actually impact the environment. And in the bigger scheme of things, often in a good way. People tend to think that impact is always negative. Keep in mind that impact is often much stronger now, because there's so little space left for animals this big. So to call an elephant something negative because they have that kind of impact in their surroundings would be a little bit the pot calling the kettle black, because we as humans, I don't think I need to finish that sentence, but we as humans have got a massive impact on the environment. So much so that things like elephants now struggle for space sometimes. So that's why it's such a pleasure to be in an area like this, where there's a vast landscape. It's always been, to some extent or another, available to big animals. May there always be places like this in the world. quite sure the other members of the herd have moved sort of further back in there. I'm going to move on a little bit. I know we like elephants, but we're not going to see too much of her head. Her head is in the bush, and the little one is further back. I'll see if we can get a look at the little one. We all like little animals, especially little elephants. But as I said, hold on. This is the time when, hey, come on, bit of a tricky turn here. This is the time when your sort of shifts can change in the bush. You know, this is when the diurnal animal called it.
Just keep sort of scanning over this area down here and see. Just to finish on the ranges, we will bump into some other ranges, and really important that I share with you this. Some of the best guides I've ever met in the world in South Africa, and they know their stuff and they share their stuff, and that's what it's about. We're at an age now where we're not messing about, you know, pretending to be big stuff. All we want to do is share wonderful experiences with you, and all they want to do is share with each other. We help each other, we tell each other stories, or we tell each other what we call wildlife intelligence, really. And it's really about making sure that we all get opportunities in this beautiful location to bring the best to you live. So I'm just going to creep along here and have a bit of a look. We've got some impala over here, which we have seen already on this game drive, so please don't think I'm driving past them like I said and telling you that I don't care about them anymore, because I really do. But I want to get down in this last hour to have a look for leopard. I'm going to pass you back to Pete. I think he's onto something, and I'll come back to you just now.
Standing by, ready for you. Well, good afternoon again. This is that beautiful, beautiful time in Africa. After a hot day, it's cooling down. Bit of a breeze, stronger than usual for this time of night or day, afternoon, evening, depending how you want to look at it. Beautiful sky there. You can see there towards the west. And we're looking at some of the young leaves. We're going to talk a lot about the sort of the onslaught of summer now for the next few weeks. You've got all the new leaves coming out, and very special quality to the sky and the air as well. I see something. There we go. I'm going to catch up with H a little bit. Hey, gotta love these cars we're getting to drive, huh? Any of you guys that like driving, or anyone that has a little boy left inside them, which I'm sure it's many of us, you have to have a little boy inside you to love Africa. We're having lots of fun out here.
How are you, mate?
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you, mate.
Good, man.
Hey.
A nice afternoon, huh?
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
How was it?
Very good. We went Arethusa side a little bit, looked
Yeah.
for shadows. She was around that area earlier, but didn't get anything.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to chat to you actually, because I've been up and down here a few times, but this morning when we came in after the rain, I saw a few leopard tracks, not many,
Yeah.
but just here, not far from camp.
Yeah.
And so I'm just sort of hoping that,
Yeah.
you know, it's quarantine. I presume it's his tracks. So, and I didn't find any tracks. I looked around again. So my feeling is that he's probably somewhere in that thicket, that side of quarantine.
We just came from that area, but we didn't do it extensively. I was just going to pop back down here Maybe you should go down and have a little look down there.
Yeah, I'm going to just do a little. It's a lovely area. We're just talking about the
Yeah.
sunset, and it's,
Oh, absolutely.
this is the time. It's one of the things it's as good as seeing a leopard just being out at this time of the day. So,
Absolutely
yeah.
magic, mate. Absolutely
So yeah,
magic.
we can just. I just heard something now, and it wasn't what I thought it was, but I
Yeah.
thought it was an impala bark. So I'd heard of impala. You must have seen them just now.
Yeah.
I'm
just
hoping
on
they
the
help
other
us. They can maybe start giving a little.
Go and have a
a little-
squeeze down there. We saw
That's
some.
what impala do. If they do that, then we we like a dog
Yeah.
on a scent. We're going to look for it.
How good is this, mate? Though
Stunning.
live, it just feels so fantastic, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it does.
Pete told me a while back. He said, "You wait until you feel what it feels like to be broadcasting this live. You've got so many people with you in the back of your vehicle, and I tell you, as soon as we went out on our first drive the other day, the feeling is just fantastic, mate. It really is. You told me exactly as it was, and it is." And we just saw that beautiful breeding herd of Ellies down.
We saw them a little bit as well, but then they went into the dip there.
So they went down to the water and all had a drink, and then a juvenile male came up and did a bit of a vocalisation, and then they moved off, and we gave them space. The matriarch was the one with the tear in her left ear.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
she sort of gave us a little bit of a hey, you back off a little bit, because she was stuck between the bull and us. So I just moved on a little bit, and she was absolutely fine. Walked off with her herd, and then just down off the dam wall was this beautiful young bull, probably about 20, 25 years old, and just browsed and fed. Gave us a little bit of posturing and stay. But it was just great. It's just great, and we had a really lovely encounter. But anyway, mate, I'll let you get back to it.
No, but I think we should stick around just a little
Bumble
bit.
around,
I saw Ryan as well just now from Arituza. He's going down to those Ellies.
Okay.
But yeah,
Right.
it's 50-50 as always.
Of course it is.
But,
Of course it is. Well, we'll give you a yell as well.
I've got a feeling somewhere along there. I mean, he's not called Quarantine Mel for no reason.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you're with the right man here. We'll see how we go. If we find anything, we'll give you a yell.
Yeah.
All right, mate, take care.
See you in a bit. Well, as I said, I'm going to go with this gut feeling a little bit. I'm just going to drive around once or twice a little bit, and hopefully we get a heads up, so to speak, from the Impala. Plus, what a view. Yes, sir, yes. I'm just driving past one of the landowners here, just enjoying the view as well. Funny term, but it's a very Sabi Sands term. Landowners refer to, obviously, various people that own pieces of parts of Sabi Sands. So because it's private land, even though it's part of a much bigger ecosystem, including Kruger and Manuletti, Tipavati and so forth, because it's private land that we can really get to see these animals in such a special way, in such an intimate way. Let's just go sit a little bit with these impala. They're just grazing. Now they all seem very relaxed, so as far as they're concerned, there are no leopard around at the moment, or no lions, or no anything. They're just happy. I mentioned this morning as well, but it's something that a lot of people, when they come out to Africa the first time, they ask and wonder about it. I always say, don't you think these animals are terrified the whole time? If I was standing out there by myself, I'd be worried the whole time about being on the menu. And it's not really the case. You must remember that these animals have all evolved to live in this niche just as perfectly. In fact, maybe even more successfully than some of the predators, in the case of impala. So they've got their own ways and their own mechanisms. They're extremely fast, great hearing, great eyesight. They live in herds. We're looking at a breeding group here, probably 50, 60 impala, maybe a few more, even maybe closer to 80 or 100. So if they're 80 animals, that's 160 eyes all watching and looking around for potential things that could bother them. Noses, ears, everything alert. strange wind that's blowing. Sort of a northerly wind. I wonder what the weather's going to do tomorrow. So as far as these impala go, they relax, nothing bothering them. And sorry, I was just listening to a question there, but they're happy. You can see that. Not concerned about anything. This is a perfect area for them to spend the night in as well. It's quite open, but there's also a bit of brush in the background. Impala actually quite comfortable either way. They're not specific, like for instance wildebeest that really like the open areas, or zebra, or as opposed to kudus or bushbuck that really like the thick areas. But most nights you'll have a herd of, even 2 herds of impala utilizing the quarantine area. Here's a young male. He's about a year old. Remember I mentioned earlier that we will soon start seeing the first lambs, probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks from now. So this one was born just under a year ago. He'd be 11 months old, a little bit maybe, a little bit more. Oh yeah, and you can see that because of the horns. Not all the animals have males and females horns. If you think of things like wildebeest, hartebeest, springbuck, most of your sort of plains game, you tend to have males and females with horns. Hey, bit of energy there. A lot of animals like impala, kudu, nyala, bushbuck and so forth, only the males carry horns, normally so that they can compete with other males for access to females. A little bit as a defense mechanism as well, but the value really is just to be able to compete, and in being able to compete, obviously have access to females and pass on their individual genetics or their individual genes. Let's get a little bit more west towards the sunset. This has got a nicer and nicer, beautiful sunset tonight. Too big for you there. Playing in the moon. Well done, Brian. That is probably my favorite plane for the bush. Just as these vehicles we're in is literally the best vehicles for driving around in the bush, that's probably the best plane. It's called a caravan. I'm not sure where the name comes from, but I'm guessing like the caravans to find in the desert, you know, the old days of the camel trains, because they were so tough. Caravan, brilliant planes. They can fly almost anywhere. They land them in Namibia, they land them on beaches on the Skeleton Coast, and the desert, just on planes and places. They're very versatile. That's the case to a lot. So sort of like we are enjoying the African bush. And look at that sunset. So Brian's busy putting on a jacket, so I'm getting all these hands and his sleeves. It's getting a little bit cooler, which is fantastic. Growing and changing.
Well, the sun is setting, and that means that the cloak of darkness is upon us. And what an African sunset that is. That's what we see every day here on LiveSafari. It's just the most beautiful time of the day. You've got the sun setting, those magnificent colours, this wash of pink over the sky. I've got a full moon right behind me there, and we are now going to just go down into this little riverine area. Have a look at that moon, Pete. Look at that. That's going to be a fantastic thing tonight. Now, some animals will use that moon to hunt. They'll use it as a little bit of a tool. And some prey animals, you know, some of the hoofed animals will use it also. They can see a lot better. So sometimes it's more difficult for the animals to hunt in, and sometimes it's better for the other animals to see the predators. So it just depends. But the most important thing is this is a super time of the day. We have about 40 minutes left. I'm just going to creep down this road nice and slowly. I want you to just watch. I really want you to watch down to the left with me. I'll keep looking down. I'll look to the right, look to the left. We're going to go very, very slowly. You never know what we can find, but this is proper leopard country right here. Just thought I saw something through there. Let's move on. So it's really just about slowly looking, and as I said, the animals here are so familiar and habituated. They don't find a car a threat. They find us as part of the scenery, really. And this is where tree stumps really throw you. Coming to a fork in the road. If anyone wants to send us a tweet, hashtag Safari Live, and tell me to go left or right, I'd love to hear from you. I'm at the fork in the road. And Mary from, it's an email, Mary from London has just asked us to go to the left. Mary, thank you. Fantastic. This is great. See what we can find. Mary, I'm just going to head down across to this little water point here. It's a little area that I know one of the leopards hangs out in now and again, but he normally only hangs there when it's really hot. So it's cooled down now. I doubt he's going to be there, but it's always good just to have a look. And then we'll head back down that road, Mary. reverse back for you and show you what I mean. It's a little bit hard to see. I'll just drive forward. I'll show you. Sometimes we've got this beautiful leopard here I really love. His name's Quarantine. Actually, Pete's looking for him at the moment too, up there, but he sometimes sits under there in the hot of the day. We saw him there the other day. Just so beautiful, but I just wanted to see if this could have been an area for him as well, that he may look, because there's just a little water area just down here. I've got my spotlight on just here, and sometimes animals will come down here, and it might be an antelope that comes down, and he might use that as an vantage point to hunt and use it as an opportunity, but he's not there. So down to the road that we chose. Oop, let's watch that tree. It's always good to watch out for those trees. We're going to go round in a circle here. And head back down. Right, 30 minutes, spotlight's out, folks. So you're not going to be able to follow the spotlight with me because it's too much sort of going around and going across. So what I'll do is I'll just push the spotlight from side to side, looking myself. We've got this nice wash of light in front of us. If you see anything in front, let me know. If I see anything, of course I'll stop and let you know. Occasionally when I stop, when we get to a nice open area, you can have a look with me, but I just don't want your eyes to be looking back and forth, side to side all the time. I always look up and down these dry riverbeds just to see, as I mentioned before. Excuse me, so it's a bit bumpy up through here, guys. Hold on, folks.
We're lucky that at the moment there's a clan of hyenas that have their den or their home not far from camp here, and just want to see if they're active. Always depends a little bit on the day. Sometimes you arrive. We had a brilliant first sighting 2 days ago with interaction between the young ones and the old ones and all the different things going on. Let's see if they're out. Maybe they're sleeping late or early, depending how you think of it. This is the termite mound. In front of us here, that's where the den is sort of housed in. I don't see them at the moment. Let's do a little drive around. Looks like we've got a quiet den. They might be sleeping inside, or maybe the adults have left already to go and look around for food. Just show you what it looks like. Maybe you haven't seen this before. It's a little bit difficult to show like this. There in the back, actually behind those twigs, is the entrance. So there's, you see the sort of soft sand there, or flattened sand. I don't know how to explain it. That's where they walk in and out the whole time. So it's bare and nothing growing there anymore. That's the entrance to the den, but no hyenas tonight. There's the other hole They're not using at the moment, but that's also sometimes used as the entrance. So let's continue on a little bit. They're not here, but we're going to drive around the area this time of night. It's very likely that they're not far away. The youngsters, there's one sort of juvenile adult and one younger one. They might be sleeping inside. The adults maybe have moved on and they're walking along the road. Hyenas, like a lot of predators, they like walking on the road. It's an easy, simple way to go from A to B. Nice and open, you don't have to worry about sticks and things to fall over. So maybe we bump into them. Okay, little scrub here. Hello. Oh. Now this hare would be very happy with eating this sort of fresh new shoots. This area also burned not so long ago, so almost immediately after a burn you normally get fresh or a new flush of grass coming out, and hares, in some way similar to rabbits, they like that juicy new food to eat. While we're talking about hares and rabbits, there's a number of differences between them. Now, if you look at this guy, I don't know, what do we notice first? Probably the ears, I would think. Or the eyes. Oh, this one is having a little stretch. Very comfortable with us. Living so close to the hyena den, it would be seeing vehicles quite often, so that's why it's so relaxed. Normally scrub hares can be quite jumpy. But hares and rabbits, let's start actually with how they live differently, and then you will understand more why they look differently. Rabbits tend to live in warrens or in holes. They also tend to have their babies quite sort of undeveloped, is maybe the wrong word. Artificial is actually the term for it. They're quite weak when they're born, so they have to keep them in their warrens and support them there. Hares like this guy, scrub hares, and you get some other species as well, they don't live in warrens, they don't live in holes. They just sleep under a little bush or in some thick grass cover. It's referred to as a form where they sleep. And they're also, very interesting, they have very different babies from rabbits. Fewer, but also precocial, or very pre-developed. Something similar to a lot of your antelopes. So when a hare's little youngster or kitten is born, they can run and jump and do everything almost immediately. In terms of their physical features, rabbits have got little ears. They tend to be a little bit plumper, not quite as quick off the mark or as able to sort of twist and turn through the bushes when they run. Whereas your hares have got much larger ears, more athletic shapes. So they need to be more aware, they need to listen better because they don't have a warren to run back to. And of course they need to run faster as well. See, all the time, grabbing food and listening. Just look at those ears for a little bit. All the time listening. You don't sneak up on these guys quite easily. One of my favorite bush calls or bird calls in the distance, especially at night. They only call it night. One of the nightjars called a fiery-necked nightjar. Beautiful name as well. Can't mimic them too well, but something like that. For a little bit. something, but some of the night sounds. Driving like this, just constantly checking the road. As I said, a lot of your nocturnal animals, nocturnal predators certainly, they like walking on the roads. The road network is quite extensive. In fact, many of the roads that we use and drive in these reserves were made originally on animal footpaths, so along a riverine. So you have a little small riverbed. It's very logic that alongside it there'll be a little track the animals walk on when they're walking along the riverbed. Or if you have a hill with a neck in the hill, that's the logic place to cross. I often find that little game tracks and or roads that we use were originally a little game footpaths for maybe hippos or elephants, which obviously a lot of that. It's just the way of least resistance. So the easiest way to go from A to B is used by us as well as by everything else. Lion, hyena, civets, genets. Question earlier about caracal and some of the smaller cats. Let's find them at night. Maybe 10, 15 over my tracks. Let me just see, is he gone? Where he's gone? Just double check. Leopard. Here we go. Alright. Yeah, I love this. Just falling. Talk to the game drive vehicles while I see this. That's probably Texan there from Waitemata, not so far. Texan again. Aubrey again. Ja, voor je on quarantine. Okay, voor monthly fresh and conjo hier 6 for Ingaskaya quarantine area, heading up to quarantine. Yeah, I'm sure Texan Jibuga Ingo already. Okay, copy for you. Coming up from Waitemata Dam, or did you come from Philemon's Katlan? Okay, copy, thank you. Alright, that's Texan. No, the tracks aren't here. Guys, again, if you haven't been on many drives with us, yeah, Luton Cons on this side, so I'm thinking close to Ingaskaya. Very good, thank you. I was just saying, HT is also on his way to come give a hand, but this is very, very fresh. In fact, I would wager that we are within 50 or 60 yards of a leopard right now as we speak. Tracks hasn't come out this side yet. Now we are very close to the lodge, so sorry, I'm just going to concentrate here a little bit. Just going to go past here. We just keep a look here to the right hand side, past the right shoulder area. Right, let's have a look here to the right area. Got a strong feeling that this leopard is sitting just here somewhere. Copy that, yeah. But we might get this cat any second.
So I just got word that Pete's onto fresh leopard tracks, and wow, I turned around immediately. He said to come up and give him a hand, so we're on our way there now. Sorry, we're going a little bit fast, but this is really exciting stuff. The most important thing is that when you get that fresh spoor, the more sets of eyes that you've got there, the better. And I always want to tell you, and I always want to remind you, these animals are really used to us, so don't think that we're by any way means hassling them or anything. It's really important to know they're very, very relaxed. You will see when we do see a leopard, very, very relaxed. But it's just really exciting to have fresh tracks. You might hear us refer to it as something called spoor as well, which is an Afrikaans word for tracks or signs or any indication of an animal that's been through an area. So we might call that now and again. But I'm going to let you go back to Pete. I'll see you just now. Sorry. Sorry. That's a bit bumpy.
Yeah, definitely. Well guys, the search really is on. I had the fresh tracks back there in the corner. They haven't come out as far as I could see on that side, but they could have crossed here in this grassy area. I'm just going to check down this road. It's just a matter of eliminating the other directions it could have gone, but then we're going to start looking towards those impala from earlier. I remember we said we're going to find this leopard. I really hope we find him. This is his area. He's named after this area. Let me just double check here. He hasn't been here. No, I think we must go look closer to those impala. HD again. Hayden, you copy? Keep in mind the leopard lying flat, you can drive within inches of him and you won't see him. here with Hayden. He's just joining us as well, so we now have the benefit of lines, 2 pairs together. Howdy.
Oh yeah.
How's it going?
Fresh sport, eh?
Very, very fresh, on top of our tracks from earlier.
Really?
Yeah, and actually, I've checked every. I mean, the most logical feeling is that it's probably towards the Impala. But I had the tracks just coming up from Twin Dams Road, all the way close to Inga's house, and then at that turn off going to Inga's house, the tracks were right there, and he went off, and it doesn't come out anywhere this side. And I mean, these tracks are anything from 1 minute to 10, 15 minutes at the most old. He hasn't crossed anywhere here. Definitely not. I had a close look. So he's either still in that little patch of thicket there that I checked, or he could have crossed just somewhere in that sort of grassy section. Yeah. So I think maybe you guys want to just take a slow drive along towards the Impalas there. Yeah. I want to go just around again just to have another check. And then I'm come around that side on the road through quarantine, and we look around that side and we take it from there. But this guy is close. And if we find him, I mean, it's literally, we could switch on the lights and he could be sitting there. That's how close he is. Let's have a look.
Our last chance, mate.
See you now. Yo. Yes, that's good news, and I totally agree. This leopard is here. There's no doubt about that. Now, you can never, ever guarantee a leopard. Even if you're looking at a leopard, you can't guarantee you're going to see it in a minute, because you can blink and it can be gone. But we're not going to end at 7. We're going to go on a little bit. Hayden's joined us as well, so we're both here. We're going to look for this leopard, and we're going to find him. I can come as close to as one can to guaranteeing it. It's also exciting because quarantine male, at the age he is now, very good chance that he might stick around here for a day or two, or better even. I saw him the other day. He was looking beautiful, but he hadn't eaten for a couple of days, so he's at that perfect stage for hunting again. So maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, but I think we're going to be spending a bit of time with this leopard one way or another. But for now, we're not going to go. We're going to stick around, so stay with us. We could find the leopard literally any second now. Just be awake enough. I walked here, so I understand there's a little bit of clump of really thick bush back where I saw the last tracks. There you go. But he's either in there, in which case we'll go back in a second or two again. Well, maybe not a second, but a minute or two. Or he's crossed. There's one area that he could have crossed. We wouldn't have seen the tracks, but there's quite a lot of grass. And if he's crossed, he hasn't come out on the road here as well. If his tracks are on the road, I'd see them. So let's just keep looking a little bit. I presume it's quarantine. I mean, it could be another leopard. It could be Kanyeni, his brother. It's at that age now where their tracks are only marginally bigger than Karula's one. It could even be Karula. That would be amazing. I mean, you'd love to see me jumping out of this chair if it's Karula. But I think it's the young male's track. Again, I'm just sharpening up. At the moment, I'm sharpening up on a lot of things. For instance, my Shangaan again, or the Tonga language, and my tracking. I've always loved tracking, so it's something I really enjoy. But it takes a little while before you can start telling individual leopards again. You know, you can say, oh, this is Karula, that's this, or this. But I would go for quarantine. There's a few eyes in the distance. It looks like impalas. Oh no, there's a wildebeest, but that's too far. We don't put the lights directly on the diurnal animals if we can prevent it. HT again, we've just done a loop. It's a couple of wildebeest down there. massive wildebeest. There's a herd of about 7 or 8 of them down there.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry I had those lights on, mate. I didn't want to switch them off after
no,
that.
it's fine. I felt like a scrub there earlier in the road that I saw.
Sorry,
No,
must have been flaring on your left.
It was destroying my eyes.
It was, mate. I'm so sorry. I thought about it. As people, I didn't want to go fucking around it.
What part of the night drive? Let's just actually see. We're going to have to play a little bit of how we can put lights or not. How's that? Is that bothering you? Is that comfortable?
That's fine.
Guys?
So that really hurts, yeah? It hurts you?
Yeah, that's fine at that
the
age,
lens?
but we'll get to know the
flaring, no, that's not the lens.
Okay, because that's sort of what it was.
But I would know you a little bit that way.
Was I? Sorry,
we're
man.
talking to Norwich like this at night. But it's great to think, H, we both of us have driven now, and I can 90%, 99% guarantee that we've both been within 20 yards of a leopard already. That's how close we've been to. So let's just do this loop again.
Let's do it again.
It's literally, let's just do this a few times. Because my strongest feeling just looking at these tracks now is that he's in that, just past where I saw you, but like a few minutes ago, in that block just behind. So we're probably going to find him in that area because he's sitting there. It's gotten dark now. I mean, the moon's out, but he knows there's Impala. His tracks were close to the light this morning. So let's just do this loop once or twice and we have a very careful look and we're going to find this guy.
Sure.
All right. See you again in a few minutes.
Okay, mate.
Come on.
Okay, now we're gonna find it. Now we're gonna find it.
There's a big herd of Impala off to our left. We're not going to bother them now. So carefully. I mean, we're not looking for an elephant here. Looking for probably the master of camouflage.
Especially at night.
Oh yeah. Insects around tonight. I think this sort of rainy weather we've been dealing with, there's a lot of see everyone go down your shirts.
My legs are getting there's just things jumping on them constantly.
Yeah, it's from the light there.
Yeah.
I've already had one down my throat earlier and one down my shirt. Yeah, no, that's the joys of summer. And lots of life around, so many things. And now keep in mind all the small insects. Obviously, then there's the things eating the insects and the things eating the things eating this insect, and you know that continues up the ladder. What's that? What's that? What's that? I see something. Just saw a shimmer of an eye there, and it's exactly in the area that I think it could be. He could be. But let's just make sure. I'm very excited. I'm not going to get too excited. I don't want to be too excited about you looking for a leopard. It's just here somewhere.
Directly ahead of us.
Past this bush. Could be a steenbok or a duiker or something small like that, but very close to here now. It's definitely the eye. I mean, we're close to camp, so there's something reflecting about some of the things around camp here, but it really looks like an eye to me. Kanyeni, the brother, I don't know that leopard at all, I've never seen him yet. Valentine's brother, he is known to be a bit shyer, a bit more elusive. bugs are dive bombing, huh? The spotlight in the hand, you get them flying right at you. Kamikaze bugs. Oh, where was that? It was just here somewhere.
Yeah.
That you saw the eyes. Well, granted, it could have been something small. I mean, the height of the eyes was perfect, but it could have been a steenbok or a duiker as well. That area thoroughly now, but so either maybe it was a little steenbok or duiker that's
Maybe try one more loop around.
yeah, we're gonna find this leopard. It's right here. He's not finding it yet. We're gonna find it almost certainly. Careful look, this is the patch that I thought we had settled down. This is the clump of stuff that's closest to the last track I found. One of the things we used to always laugh about as guides. Always say how great it is at these. These animals are so habituated that they're so used to us. The only downside to it, which is a bad thing, but it's funny. Last round the books were there. People are sleeping. He's so used to us, so that's what we always said, they're so used to us, but it does make finding them harder sometimes. gonna have a last look around. Another minute or two, just last opportunity. Otherwise, tomorrow morning, do make sure you join us if you can at all, because we'll be around tomorrow. Yeah, I think let's I see Aiden's just back there as well. He's checking the same area now. Let's go back there and we're gonna say good night. Bug me if I don't see this cat tonight. We've almost certainly driven within meters of it. For those of you that like enjoying the waterholes as well, keep an eye out. There's a leopard about. Like this light over there. See how that works. Hey.
Well, unfortunately nothing. But always worth a look, mate.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna keep this in my hand because these hello, I'm down here. Guys, these vehicles are so great. They've really been lifted off for what we're gonna do. But we're gonna say good night. But I want to keep this in my hand because
there is a leopard. Very, very close.
I promise you, there is a leopard.
We've just done
right
laps
here
and
somewhere.
laps and laps.
So we're just not seeing it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I feel like we won because we know there's a leopard here. And tomorrow morning, which will be our sunrise safari, which is 11 o'clock or 11 p.m. Eastern time, join us because we might find this guy. There's lots of impala. You saw these 2 herds of impala.
Yeah.
And well, there's wildebeest that might be a bit big,
Yeah.
but my leopards, they're a little bit like rangers sometimes.
Absolutely.
You know? Nothing's too big.
I think, as Pete said, tomorrow morning we're going to have a much better idea of what happened here last night. We'll get up and read the Bush Telegraph or the Bush newspaper and see what actually did go on. You never know. And it's been really fantastic to have you along tonight with us. And yeah, tomorrow morning we do it all again.
Definitely.
Love
so tomorrow
this.
morning, join us. We're going to look around. We're going to hopefully find this guy. Maybe, I'm hoping for his sake. I mean, you saw him actually more than I did.
Yeah, I had a beautiful
he was
sighting.
a little bit lean, so he's probably looking for food. So, Good night. Thank you very much for joining us, and see you a bit later. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.